Greetings. A lot of small farmers, backyard farmers, subsistence. I'm not talking to big commercial farmers here. They always ask me how to know the hectareage of my land, to say how many hectares are on my land, and also if I've already planted and I've used machines that couldn't calculate the space and so on, how would I know how much tons will I get? Let's do it quickly. Now, when you calculate the size of the hectares in your farm, let's say this is your farm, all right? That is the front side of the farm, that is the back side of the farm. Obviously, from there to there, that is your length. And from this side to that side on the sides, that is your breadth, okay? So let's say you calculate using a measuring wheel. You've got about 900 meters length from the back to the front. And on the side you calculate you've got about 600 meters. And we know that for hectareage, we work for every hectare, a hectare is 10,000 square meters. So we are going to calculate and say length times breadth times divide by, my apologies, we divide by 10,000 square meters. Then it will give you the hectareage. Let's calculate it quickly. We're going to say 900 length times 600 breadth divided by 10,000 divided by 10,000. There it goes. It gives you 54 hectares. So we already know that our land is 54 hectares. You have calculated. Now you want to calculate how much maize are you going to get out, because you already planted, you are not sure of the spacing. So now you know your land. Now we come to calculating the maize that you will get out. Obviously, you already worked your land out. You already know that from front to back, in terms of the length, it's 900. In terms of the breadth, we said it's 600. In terms of the breadth, it's 600 meters. So now you have planted, if this is the front, this is the back side, this is how your rows are going. You have done rows from front to back. This is your rows. So you want to measure your rows. So how would you know what is the tonnage? You are going to say, okay, in a row, you measure 10 meters. Okay. Then inside these 10 meters, you are going to check how many plants in these 10 meters, corn plants which you planted there. So maybe you find that you've got 220. But because of this is the first sample that you are doing. But because of you don't want to just use one sample, because it might not be reasonable to use one sample, you use more than two. So you go even in the middle, another row, you measure how many plants in 10 meters, maybe you get here 240. Then at the back again, which is number 3, this is sample number 2. Number 3, you count again, you've got 260. So you've got 3, you have done 1, 2, 3. So you're going to say the number of plants in sample 1, number of plus sample 2 plus sample 3, we are going to do it together as 220 plus 240 plus 260, which is equals to 720 in total. 1, 2, 3. Now you divide them by their number, right, to get an average. So it's 720 divided by 3, you get an average of 546. We all see it. 720 divided by 3 is 240. My apologies. You get an average of 240 plants per 10 meter. Okay, so you've got 240 plants for every 10 meter. So now you're going to say, how many 10 meters go into 900? We obviously know that 10 into 900 goes 90 times. So you're going to say, my 240 plants that I've got in this 10 meter, multiply by 90 times, because there are 90 220s. So 240 multiplied by 90, we do it multiply by 90. It gives you 21,600. What does this mean? This 21,600 means all the plants in a row. One row has got 21,600 plants. So we already know that for every row is 21,600. So now we want to calculate the number of rows that you have. So you're just going to only check spacing from this row to the next row, in between the spacing, this side, you'll find that maybe it's 0.900 meter. Okay. Now you are going to say, if it's 0.900 meter, my spacing between row. So you are going to say the breadth is 600 meter, divide by 0.900, which is 600 meters, divided by 0.900 equals to, it gives you 666 rows. So you have got 21,600 plants in a row, multiply by 666 rows. There it goes, it's 21,600 multiplied by 666 rows. Then you've got a total of 14,385,600 plants. So now we move to the next part. So you know that your total plants are 14,385,600 plants on that 54 hectares we were talking about, right? So now you want to know how much maize is there. So if these are all your plants, and for every plant you have weighed that corn. Remember last time I was doing the weight on my previous tutorial, meaning one maize corn, to make it simpler for you, one maize corn equals to 200 grams. Okay, weight, because you have weighed it with a scale. So you are going to say this total 14 million multiplied by 0.200, which is 14,385,600 multiplied by 0.2. Then you've got 2.8 million 120, right? Divide by 1,000. If you divide it by 1,000, it gives you tonnage. It gives you 2,877, right? Divide by 10,000. Sorry, 2,877, 120. Divide by 10,000. Divide by 10,000. Yes, by 10,000. It gives you 287 tons. So your farm will be giving you 287 tons out of that 54 hectares. Right, so for those of you who didn't understand, you'll just keep on revisiting it again and again. So you calculate the hectareage of your land, you calculate the spacing and the number of plants, and then you calculate how much tonnage you get. Right, I hope you have learned something from there. Thank you.